Hey guys, Aaron CybertronVGC here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Ranked, where I climb the online Regulation I VGC ladder in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet and provide live commentary as I go. In this video, I'm going to be featuring a team that just won a major offline grassroots tournament over in Japan. This tournament featured lots of incredible players, including 2015 World Champion Shoma Honami, which this team actually defeated in the finals, as well as several other really strong players that came overseas for it, including Joe UX9 as well as PokeAlex. This team ended up finishing in first place and features the combination of Shadow Rider plus Zamazenta. You also have some unique elements like Assault Vest, VGC Chien Pao with Ice Shard, as well as other Pokemon like Scarlet, Rocky Helmet Amoonguss, as well as Rock Ogerpon. As always, I'll do a quick breakdown of the team, but if you want to just skip to the battles, check out the timestamps down below, and thanks so much as always for joining me. If you enjoy, I'd really appreciate if you consider leaving a like in the video or subscribing to the channel. It really helps out a ton. Anyway, let's dive into things. If you're interested in trying out the team, the rental code is on the screen, and there's also an accompanying PokePaste down in the description below. This team is a fairly standard Calyrex Zamazenta team, but it's got some unique tools that are optimized for it, including double redirection from Rock Ogerpon plus Amoonguss, Choice Scarf Chi-Yu, which is incredible against opposing Calyrex Zamazenta teams, and an Assault Vest Chien Pao. Assault Vest is not a common item on Chien Pao. You often see Focus Sash on it, but it allows it to be much tankier and allows it to match up better into common special attackers like opposing Calyrexes. In addition, it means that you get to run more attacks, and so it's actually running the unique combination of Double Dark with Ruination Sucker Punch, as well as Double Ice with Ice Spinner and Ice Shard. And so this Chien Pao can definitely survive for longer periods of time while also being able to chip away. For example, with Ruination, you can combo with Zamazenta and just go Ruination to Body Press, often to just get knockouts as a 1-2 punch. And so Shadow Rider Zamazenta has been a common duel since day one of the format. It continues to get refined and optimized in this format, and with this team winning a big tournament, you should definitely have it on your radar. For some quick context, as I mentioned, this team won a big offline grassroots tournament over in Japan, which took place in the middle of July 2025. The tournament had 285 players competing in it, and there were multiple ex-World Champions, including 2015 World Champion Shoma Honami, as well as 2023 World Champion Shohei Kimura. They actually ended up finishing in second place and top 4 respectively, but ultimately it was this team with Shadow Rider and Zamazenta that was able to defeat the entire event. I think the Pokemon on this team are relatively standard, but there are some unique elements to it, such as the EV spreads, as well as the Assault Vest on Chien Pao in particular, and the double redirection support for Calyrex Shadow Rider. I think this tournament overall is a good snapshot of where the metagame is as we head into the World Championships, and so this is a slightly newer take on Shadow Rider and Zamazenta that you should now prepare for. Looking down the team, the first Pokemon I want to highlight is this really unique Assault Vest Chien Pao set. People generally don't run Assault Vest on Chien Pao, they normally run Focus Sash on it, and they normally just run max attack and max speed. This Chien Pao is completely different, where you're Poison Terra, you have Ice Shard as well as Ruination, and you have a ton of bulk and almost no attack investment. So first of all, with the speed investment, you are going to outspeed Admin as well as Modest, Max Speed, Koraidon, and Miraidon, and so that's a big benchmark to hit. It means that you will be outpacing most Miraidons that you run into, unless they happen to be timid / max speed, or they happen to run Choice Scarf. Now, Scarf Miraidon actually is one of the more common sets right now in the format, but the good thing is with Assault Vest, you can survive an attack from that Scarf Miraidon, which is really nice, right? And so Chien Pao here is often going to actually click Ruination or priority moves. Ice Spinner is its main other move, and the Ice Spinner is nice because it allows you to remove electric terrain. So actually against the Miraidon compositions, Chien Pao plus Amoonguss is a really nice duo because you can just Ice Spinner, get rid of terrain, and then put something to sleep immediately with the Spore afterwards. Otherwise, the Chien Pao can catch opponents off guard with Ice Shard as well, right? And this is also nice as a priority move to finish off things like Whimsicott or Tornadus. And for example, if you've damaged them, they haven't set up Tailwind, then you can actually outpace them and outspeed them before they get the Prankster Tailwind up, which is also really nice. But this just gives you double coverage in terms of priority, which is really sweet. Ruination is awesome in setting up this team for success because often it will put, for example, Zamazenta or Pokemon in Zamazenta's Body Press KO range. Also, Shadow Rider is one of the stars on this team. This is Focus Sash Shadow Rider, and so you'll often want to use this in the end game. So if you've been able to do like 50% to multiple of your opponent's Pokemon, then Shadow Rider can just often come out, click Ghost Terra, Astral Barrage, and start sweeping afterwards, right? With this kind of Shadow Rider set, you actually often want to conserve it and save it for the late game. And so Ruination is also nice because it can start getting the chip damage that you need for Shadow Rider then to come out afterwards and just start getting knockout after knockout. With Chien Pao, you also have Poison Terra, which is a neat defensive Terra, and of course is going to be valuable into multiple different types, fighting being one common example. The Chien Pao supports the Zamazenta really nicely because, of course, you drop your opponent's defense, and so you can go for Ruination plus Body Press, as I mentioned earlier. This Zamazenta is going to be a fairly bulky one, as you can see, but it has a good bit of speed investment as well. This often allows you to just outpace a lot of other Zamazentas that are out there. A lot of viable Terras that people have used on Zamazenta this format. People have used Water, people have used Grass. Dragon has kind of been a classic Terra, and this is just Dragon Terra here. You've got the classic moves as well with Body Press, Heavy Slam, Wide Guard, and Protect, and so fairly straightforward for Zamazenta. But, of course, one of the cool things is Ruination Chien Pao comboing with this. As I also mentioned, Amoonguss is another great partner for Chien Pao. This Amoonguss is obviously very physically defensive, as you can see. It's not going to be totally min speed here, as it's still bold nature rather than relaxed, for example. That being said, the idea behind the Amoonguss here is that you are going to be super physically defensive, and so this allows you to survive like Glacial Lance from most Ice Riders, and you also will be able to, of course, put things to sleep, right? Now, when you have Chien Pao in the field, being able to clear the electric terrain so that you can Spore is really nice, and this Amoonguss also has Sludge Bomb. Sometimes people run Pollen Puff, for example. That's really nice for healing, but Sludge Bomb is really nice because Grass Terra is like, one of the only ways you can actually counter Amoonguss. And if you Grass Terra, then you can just hit them for super effective damage with Sludge Bomb, right? So this just gives you a really meaningful attack that can actually do damage and is valuable into things like Grass Terra Zamazenta, for example. So Chien Pao Amoonguss, one of my favorite leads with this team. Pao Zamazenta, also quite good. To round things out, you've got Shadow Rider. I already talked about this earlier. This is often going to be your late game closer. This is Focus Sash. It's not Specs. It's not Life Orb, right? It's not Nasty Plot. What you normally want to set this up for is, for example, you get one KO safely while you have redirection from Amoonguss or Ogerpon. You get a special attack boost. Then, Ghost Terra, Astro Barrage, continue to just spam, and you are able to often just close out games and win very quickly in like the final 3 turns with this Calyrex out on the field. Encore is a really nice move that can just really put your opponent in tricky situations, lock them into a Protect, lock them into a Wide Guard, lock them into a Fake Out, for example. This move can just totally shut down Pokemon, and with Calyrex being as naturally fast as it is, this is really, really nice in shutting things down. To round things out, you've also got Choice Scarf Chi-Yu here. Scarf Chi-Yu is really nice from an offensive standpoint, right? You are modest max special attack here, so you can just absolutely nuke things with this Chi-Yu. You're actually triple fire type attack here, no Snarl, and so that's one of the things that I sometimes do actually miss on the Chi-Yu. Snarl, of course, is a really valuable move, but this means that you have more consistency with your fire type attacks, because if you're running Snarl, you're often giving up Flamethrower. Flamethrower just gives you a very consistent fire type attack that won't miss, whereas Heat Wave and Overheat obviously can miss. Ghost Terra here, mainly valuable to get around Fake Out on turn 1 if you lead Chi-Yu. It also means you can go Chi-Yu Calyrex and just be completely immune to Fake Out with Ghost Terra and then just spam, for example, Heat Wave plus Astral Barrage. Final Pokemon is Rock Ogerpon, and I find that Rock Ogerpon's really nice right now because Volcarona is one of the most common Pokemon in the format to deal with Zamazenta, and I feel like it's been everywhere recently. So Rock Ogerpon gives you a way to just hard shut down Volcarona, of course, with that Ivy Cudgel. Main thing to call out here with Ogerpon is that you're actually running Wood Hammer rather than Power Whip. Wood Hammer means you will take recoil damage, but of course it is very powerful in base 120. For example, if you're using Power Whip, it is also base 120, but the accuracy is 85%. And so it's a question of basically trade-off in accuracy versus recoil. But I think 85% can feel really, really scary, especially on a Pokemon as frail as Ogerpon, and so opting for the Wood Hammer here instead. In terms of ways to play with the team, I think there's a lot of flexibility, but if you want some really offensive leads, for example, you can go Chien Pao plus the Zamazenta, Chi-Yu plus the Calyrex Shadow Rider. I think Shadow Rider is a Pokemon that can be led. I think often actually left better conserved in the back, but what you can do is sometimes lead it to like force out some Terras, and then you play passively with Calyrex, for example, go for a Protect, while baiting out some Terras from your opponent's end, and then you can bring this back out in the end game, for example. Like I mentioned, Pao Amoonguss, a really nice lead because you can just like go for Ice Spinner into Spore often, even into Miraidon compositions. Rock Ogerpon also is often a nice lead, right? Like you could go Rock Ogerpon really with anyone and just protect them with Follow Me while also putting on offensive pressure. Like Rock Ogerpon in particular, I like if I see, for example, Pokemon that otherwise can be really disruptive to the rest of the team, like Smeargle with Spore, for example. And so, yeah, this is just both a strong redirection user as well as a strong offensive attacker. But yeah, those are some modes that I like to go with when I play with the team. In terms of things to watch out for, some quick notes that I wanted to make on teams that I struggled against while practicing with this team. First of all, I ran into the fairly niche counter of Imprison Zamazenta, but that just like completely shut me down and I like lost the game immediately. My opponent had Roaring Moon Zamazenta, Tailwind Imprison turn 1, and I literally was just like cooked right from then. So it's like if you wanted a duel to think about giving this entire team trouble, that's a starting point. Shadow Rider here is sometimes going to feel like it's not doing very much, especially in early games where like Astro is doing okay damage, but it's not really KOing anything. So for Shadow Rider, you really want to be careful about like getting your Sash broken. Having Pokemon that are resistant or immune to Ghost and Psychic is obviously valuable as well. So like Dark type Pokemon in particular are good, and then also Wide Guard users can be annoying. Chien Pao here, by nature of its unique set, if your opponent knows about the set, it will give them a big information advantage. The Chien Pao can also sometimes feel like kind of useless. You have double priority here, so anti-priority like Farigiraf and Inity, of course, can be annoying. And then the Chien Pao doesn't have Crunch, and so that's something you could potentially take advantage of as well. And even though it's really speedy, like, you know, you can still run into combos that will outpace the Chien Pao, right? Like Fluttermane Miraidon, for example. And so you do have to be really careful because of your inability to protect here. It means that you often will have to switch in order to get around big, powerful hits, right? Otherwise, some things that I want to call out, like I lost against a team that was able to effectively set up Trick Room. I didn't bring a Mungus, and then like under Trick Room, I kind of just folded because Shadow Rider is just like not super strong until like Trick Room is stalled out. So that's one thing to pay attention to. Chi-Yu naturally it can miss its moves, so be careful when you click the Heat Wave and overheats. And in general, like, you do have some bulk on the team, but overall, like Ogerpon has no bulk, Chi-Yu has no bulk, Chien Pao is Assault Vest, but it's still at the end of the day not like the bulkiest Pokemon just in terms of base stats. Calyrex has no bulk, and so taking negative trades can be something that can feel really bad with this team, where you like lose a Pokemon, you maybe get some damage off. That can be worth it if you're playing towards a late game Shadow Rider sweep, for example, but just be careful. It's very easy, I think, to have a negative trade where it's like Chi-Yu attacks into a protect and then just gets KO'd by a return attack. Similarly, Ogerpon just like attacks into a protect and then gets brought down to sturdy. Same deal with Shadow Rider. So these Pokemon are just so frail, so you do have to be a little bit more cautious when playing with them. And then finally with the Mungus, I think like Taunt obviously is going to be like the #1 counter to this because it just stops most of what you want to do. So be cautious of that. Otherwise, really strong special damage, whether it be like Specs Draco from Miraidon, Life Orb Psychic from Shadow Rider can also be scary. Shadow Rider Zom with Grim, Rilla, Instant Clef. Okay, I got demolished by a Electric Seed Calyrex with Miraidon when I was practicing with this team. And they had, yeah, like they went Miraidon, Shadow Rider lead, Instinct Clef in the back. Now, it's not Miraidon here. It's going to be Zom instead, but similar concept. Shadow Rider Clef has made a huge comeback recently, I feel like. And it was honestly really difficult to stop. I think like using Chien Pao to try to force a Terra out can be valuable here. I also think putting things to sleep with a Mungus might be important. But then it's like, do I not bring Chi-Yu? I want everything but Rock Ogerpon is the problem. I'm gonna go Pao Zom. Chi-Yu Shadow Rider. But I think a Mungus could be part of the equation that I'm missing here. Like, being able to put Shadow Rider to sleep can be valuable. It could be Grass Terra Shadow Rider, honestly, with Giga Drain, given that they have Rillaboom on the team. But yeah, I think, like, what I like to call Godzilla Shadow Rider can be really scary. And the idea is you just, like, Ultra Boost your Shadow Rider. So, let's see. Grim Instant, okay. I generally don't mind this because I think Ruination Chien Pao should actually be pretty huge for us here. Chi-Yu Shadow Rider in the back. I mean, kind of want to just get rid of both of these. I think I'm down turn 1 to go Ruination onto Grim. Actually, better to go on an Instant so that Body Pressures KOs next turn. We'll double up into it. Oh, Instant didn't fake out. Okay, so this double up should KO. Nice. It's one of the cool things about Ruination here. Beautiful. And even with Reflect Up, we still pop Incineroar. Nice. Okay, that's a big deal. That is obviously a very annoying threat to some of the Pokemon I have in the back, especially Shadow Rider. The question is, can I make it through dealing with this, like, screens Ultra setup Shadow Rider? I'm not sure. Zom should be their last one, right? So if I knock out Grim, I force Zom out. Chi-Yu just already is in a pretty good spot. They probably set up light screen right now. I wouldn't be surprised if this nasty plot saw Calm Minds. Problems, I'm intimidated. It's not like Heavy Slam's doing a ton. Still thinking about just Ruination Heavy Slam here, though. I also low-key think I can just switch Zama out right now. Ruination. Going to Chi-Yu. So the idea here is it's like, I don't care about your screens if I just like do 50% to you. And then this gives me double dark type, so I'm immune to Thunder Wave from Grimmsnarl. Yeah, we forced the Terra out. Okay, nice. This is exactly what you want to use Ruination Chien Pao for, honestly. Yeah, it's Fairy. That's fine. I also wanted to reset the Intimidate on Zom, so now Heavy Slam can do more. Light screen. They're slow. Slower than Chien Pao. Okay. Perfect. Okay, nasty plot. So this is kind of the thinking. Like, you've gotten your boosts up, but now what, right? I think their best bet is probably Protect this now and Spirit Break. Right? Which won't KO us. Protect Spirit Break's what I expect. I am still going to Overheat Spinner. They parting shot, but yeah, this is why I wanted the double dark type. It just doesn't work. Nice, and Overheat KOs. Beautiful. Yeah, that was the exact setup I was going for because I figured like they probably weren't going to have redirection in the back, right? And so I was like, hey, like, you got your screens up, but Ruination is still going to bring you down to half. What is Grimmsnarl going to do? Like, I thought the only play they could go for there was Protect plus Spirit Break. Because it's like if Zamazenta is your last one, that's not going to win the game for you, right? Overheat by itself actually just one-shots, which I wasn't sure of. But yeah, Ruination Pao was incredible for us here because it basically allowed us to secure knockouts that we otherwise wouldn't have gotten. But that should just be game over now. But let's just make sure we carry this over to the finish line. I think let's actually find a Poison Terra here, Ruination into Zom, and then switch Chi-Yu out into our own Zom. And folks, that is why you use Ruination Chien Pao. I think, yeah, I'm curious what offensive attack the Grimmsnarl had, if any. But the whole idea behind getting Chien Pao and Chi-Yu out on the field is I'd have two things that are immune to Prankster. So that was mainly to avoid Thunder Wave, personally. But it obviously is also very good into Parting Shot. But I think did they party shot into Chien Pao there anyway? Either way, like Scarf Overheat was going to get the knockout onto the Shadow Rider. So yeah, I think like one of the big lessons I learned from playing against these setup Shadow Riders is that like you need to punish it either like the turn it sets up or the turn afterwards. Like when I played against it, I just like felt like I couldn't do anything against it because like it set up 2 Calm Minds for free, and then I just like it wasn't in a position to KO it, and then could just keep healing with Draining Kiss, right? In this game, like, Ruination was a really big deal because it meant that I could just ignore the screens, and so that makes the Chien Pao a very valuable pick into Grimmsnarl, but really happy to showcase why Ruination is so valuable. Ooh, this is a really fun team with Choice Scarf, Annihilate, WILD Chien, and it is Covert Cloak, Miraidon, Calm Mind, Parabolic Charge. So the idea is that Grimmsnarl can set up screens, and then Miraidon can just like heal for forever with Parabolic Charge. I think we have like a really interesting approach to this one, which is going for Chien Pao Amoonguss, getting rid of Electric Terrain, and then just putting Miraidon to sleep. The question is whether or not we would want Chi-Yu or Ogerpon. Like, are these worth bringing in? And I also think like part of the strength of Pao plus Amoonguss is that I can go for Runation with the Chien Pao. I think I like that a lot. Wide Guard's going to be quite annoying for them as well. So yeah, I think I'm down for Chien Pao Amoonguss lead, Zama Shadow Rider in the back. I think Chi-Yu makes very little sense into this bulky Calm Mind Miraidon. It's good mainly for Zamazenta, I would say. Or sorry, Zacian. And then Rock Ogerpon's terrible into Zacian, so we don't really want to bring that. But, like, you could also make an argument for Rock Ogerpon because you can use it to, for example, redirect a Final Gambit away and then survive with 1 HP as well. So, there's actually merit to it, but yeah. I think Chien Pao Amoonguss can be really deadly here. It's Grimmsnarl Miraidon. Okay, nice. I do not mind that. I think this is honestly probably a pretty straightforward Ice Spinner into Spore immediately. Part of the question is like, who do we actually put to sleep? But I think I'm down to Ice Spinner Grimmsnarl in case they protect with Miraidon, but Spore the Miraidon slot still. Because I have the surprise of Ice Spinner right now, and I think that alone is a big deal. But I could see a world in which they do protect Miraidon on turn 1, so I'd like to still get damage off into the Grimmsnarl. Part of the thing that I'm thinking about here is that, like, Miraidon does have Parabolic Charge, so we'll be able to heal back up, right? And so it's like, the residual chip damage isn't actually as significant into it versus, say, a Grimmsnarl, where it can't heal up. So, yeah, Miraidon does protect here, okay. It's often going to be WILD Chien. Oh, interesting. Are they just Spirit Breaking here? That would be unexpected. But it is. Wow. Okay. I actually like that play a lot by them. I also now think Miraidon probably pivots out this next turn, is my guess, into WILD Chien. And then maybe another Spirit Break. Maybe they set up screens. But I can get a guaranteed Spore on a Grim, which is important. It also could be Zacian switching in, right? I'm down to bring out Zom here. Spore into Grimmsnarl. That was a really nice play, though. I think Spirit Breaking in front of an Amoonguss, which could obviously Rage Powder, is a gutsy move. Yep, there's the switch. Yep. Zacian, cool. Would have been nice to maybe put the Zacian just to sleep there right away, but I think this is still fine. Grim does reflect now. Okay. It's fine. We put Grim to sleep. I think it makes sense now for you to pivot the Miraidon back in, like switch Grimmsnarl out into Miraidon, and then attack with Zacian or protect. I think I don't mind damaging Zacian here, getting a body press off into it. These two in the back. Like, this is Behemoth Blade, but if I Water Terror this, I become weak to Miraidon, so I have to be careful, obviously. Yeah, I'm down to just get a body press off into Zacian here and Sludge Bomb into Grim. Yeah, that should be Miraidon coming back in. Oh, it's Annihilate. Huh. Okay. Interesting. If Annihilate's coming back in, it feels like they might want to go for coaching potentially. Sludge Bomb into you. Could be like coaching Behemoth Blade. Like, I feel like the right Terra option here is probably Shadow Rider. But I'm thinking about potentially tearing Amoonguss here, because, like, I mean, you should switch into Miraidon now, in my opinion, but... Like, I'm leaning Body Press and Spore here in Zacian. Yep, it is coaching, okay. But that's fine, because now if I get Body Press off, I can just bring out Shadow Rider and just Ghost Terra. But yeah, this is why I was thinking about Water Tearing Amoonguss to get the Spore off. Oh, that actually also just does not KO me. Okay. It's kind of underwhelming damage from Zacian, low-key. Cool. So now I should be positioned to just get Shadow Rider out and start clicking Astral Barrage into everything. So I think with that, I'm fine just going for Body Press here into the Zacian slot and then switching out into Shadow Rider, because that should be Scarf Annihilate. Okay, they switch. That makes sense. You should go to Miraidon now, probably, but it's Grimmsnarl. Okay. Think we should be in a position to just go Ghost Terra, Astral, Behemoth Blade this next turn. Like, I think, basically, with this team, you want to stay on the field with Miraidon for the entire game, and with Ice Spinner plus Spore, we just, like, forced them to switch out immediately, which was fantastic. Cool. I should be in Ghost Terra range. I think I just go Heavy Slam now, Ghost Terra. I don't even know if I need to Ghost Terra here. But the question is, who else would I Terra? Like, I think it's fine to Ghost Terra here, honestly. So, Heavy Slam, Ghost Terra, Astral. It also gives us extra damage into Grimmsnarl to make sure we can get the knockout. But so much of this team, in my opinion, is finding positions for Calyrex Shadow Rider in the endgame. And Shadow Rider is just in incredible shape right now. Right? Like, it still has Focus Sash intact. And it can just start clicking Astral Barrage into everything. So Zacian stays asleep. Grim takes sleep here too. And now it's like we just get to snowball with this so quickly, right? But I have to say, my opponent made a really, really nice play on turn 1. Like, I feel like they actually could have just immediately lost the game on turn 1 if Miraidon just, like, I don't know, went for a Calm Mind, for example. But I think it's still just too difficult because, like, the whole point of the opposing team is to get multiple Calm Minds off of Miraidon and then just click Parabolic Charge. But with Amoonguss being able to put things to sleep, it's just so much harder. So... Also, I was actually kind of surprised to see Annihilate as the 4th over WILD Chien. That's going to be Annihilate plus the Miraidon here to close things out. They technically still haven't Terra'd yet, but now I'm Ghost Terra plus 1. I think it's, honestly, we can just Body Press here and Astral Barrage. Yeah, so they'll Shadow Claws, but we have Focus Sash. And as you see, it doesn't even bring us down to Sash. So now it's plus 1 Ghost Terra Astral Barrage. So that'll one-shot Annihilate, bring Miraidon quite low. And by quite low, I mean down to 5%. Annihilate faints. We get another boost. And Miraidon finally gets its first Calm Mind off in the game, but unfortunately a little bit too late. So, yeah, I think this team in general relies really heavily on Miraidon's offense. I also think Amoonguss being able to take the Behemoth Blade so well from Zacian. Like, I was thinking maybe you actually get the knockout now that you've gotten it a +2 attack. But, yeah, it's just not powerful enough. So, like, Amoonguss surviving there and being able to put the Zacian to sleep means that Shadow Rider just, like, had the perfect positioning, right? So, sleep is a really big deal, I think, with this team. Because if, like, you often want to, like, chip away at damage, get your opponent low, then bring out the Shadow Rider, and then, like, eventually, you know, ideally they're at, like, 40% with their Pokemon. Ghost Terra, Astral Barrage, just sweep, 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 right? And so that's kind of what we positioned ourselves up for in this game, which felt really nice. But, yeah, I think, like, the game could have gone even better for us. Like, I think my opponent made a really nice turn 1, honestly, by protecting that Miraidon. Like, I could have put Grimmsnarl to sleep immediately, for example. Then I could have stayed on the field with Chien Pao and then gone, like, Spinner Spore onto the Miraidon slot next turn. But I also wanted to be cognizant of the fact that there could be a WILD Chien in the back, and WILD Chien's obviously immune to Spore, and so like wanted to respect that option, and that's why I was like, you know, going for Sludge Bomb just for damage, for example. But ultimately, yeah, it's like the team on the opposing side relies very, very heavily on Miraidon just like staying on the field and lasting for forever. But if it can't actually calm mind, then it's just not going to be able to do what it just does best. Shadow Rider Zom, Smeargle, Rilla, Fire Ogerpon, Raging Bolt. Super, super similar to the Japanese national champion winning team. So you want to see me play with the team similar to this, check out the video link down below. That one just has Tornadus over Fire Ogerpon. Smeargle is like probably the most stressful part about playing against something like this. Rock Ogerpon, I think, is nice. Chi-Yu. To be honest, I actually love all of our non-restricteds too. Mainly drawn a Rock Ogerpon for the Spore immunity from Smeargle with Follow Me. I think Smeargle's redirection is actually really scary. I could go Shadow Rider Calyrex, right? I think that's interesting. Rock Pawn Zama. Chien Pao is like, it can feel really good, but it can also feel very useless. Because it's like obviously great into Rillaboom Bolt and the Raging Bolt. Some concerns I have with it are it can just get spored if I'm caught in a bad position with it. Zom can body press me. Calyrex, okay. Honestly, my main question here is whether or not they have Wide Guard on the Smeargle. Because I am leaning towards... Turn 1's already so variable. Like, they could Fake Out. Oh, man. I'm, like, mainly just trying to think around how to get around turn 1. Covering for Protect Spore. As well as Fake Out Astral. I went Ghost Terra, Dark Pulse, Psychic, but obviously they could just go for Astral Barrage right now, which is really scary. So... I don't know if the Ghost Terra was necessary in retrospect. They Terra Calyrex, yeah. So I'm probably eating up Astral Barrage here. It could always be like Fake Out Nasty Plot turn 1, but I wouldn't expect that. Yeah, they did go for Fake Out, so I will knock out Smeargle at least, but at what cost? Right? Because if I'm just eating up an Astral Barrage, I lose an entire Pokemon, plus more. Yeah, and they are max speed as well. Okay. I think against this lead, I would have maybe wanted Zamazenta. Life Orb, I assume. Yeah. Overheat's also a powerful option there onto Shadow Rider on turn 1, but... I don't have good speed control. I can just bring out Zom, I guess. Terra committed on both ends. Ugh, Raging Bolt is not good, because that can just Thunderclap me. Booster Bolt. Well, we can bring out Rock Ogerpon for redirection at least. I think losing Scarf Chew so early on was not great though, and then like Chien Pao actually would have been okay here. We get Thunderclap, Psychic, double up onto this. Calyrex could protect here. No, they're not going to protect though, right? Yeah, they didn't. But they also did not Thunderclap, so I should just KO the Bolt. But this meant I could have just wide guarded this turn. It also, I could have gone Protect Body Press. But basically, my read that turn was that they might mess up. Because I already felt kind of behind in this game, I was like, okay, if you make the mistake of protecting and I knock out Raging Bolt, and I can actually just straight up win the game with Encore there. Because I thought my obvious play was Protect plus Body Press. So I thought they would cover for that, basically. But yeah, if I actually just went Protect Body Press, I think we would have been in... I guess it's still awkward, right? Because you can still Thunderclap me. Yeah. Like, I got the Psychic off at least, but I could have gotten even more off that turn. They should always just target this down and win the game. Like, but I'm just going to go Protect here and then Woodhammer. They Psychic into Zom, okay. I'm assuming they're just body pressing into us, though. Woodhammer doesn't even KO. Okay, maybe it was worth it just try to crit with Ivy Cudgel then. I went for Woodhammer because I was like, oh, maybe I can knock out, but I actually don't think that's the right play anyway because I'm too far behind. Like, if Cudgel crit KOs, then it ends up being 1 HP Ogerpon plus Zamazenta, so then I can just follow me body press and hope that 2 body presses KOs there's Zamazenta. Oops, I ended up targeting myself, but yeah, Astro just KOs here. I think Smeargle plus Life Orb Dark Terra Shadow Rider was just really scary here, right? Because I also have to respect the option of Spore, so it's like the mix-up between those two options that I feel like is quite tricky. And it's part of the reason why this duo won a national championship this year, right? Like, it is not easy to consistently cover for. So I want to go back to the drawing board. I think it's like probably it needs to be Scarf Chiyu in the back rather than leading it. Or if I'm going to lead it, like maybe I just overheat Shadow Rider on turn 1. Because I think it's like overheat plus Life Orb often is enough for Shadow Rider to faint. The problem is I'm vulnerable to Fake Out plus Astro on turn 1. So the other thing is I could actually just like not Ghost Terra Chiyu and say, you know what, you get the Fake Out onto me, but it's fine. Like, you flinch me, but then I still get an attack off, right? The problem is my Shadow Rider is just not really helpful. I mean, I guess I could get a Psychic off, but that's basically it. So I don't think Shadow Rider plus Chiyu was a good lead into Smeargle Shadow Rider specifically. I think it was actually quite good into a lot of the other combos that could have come out. But I think I needed a cover for Smeargle Shadow Rider better. Smeargle Shadow Rider Bolt plus Zama. I don't love Amoonguss because it's also vulnerable to getting Psychicked and there's redirection, so I don't love it as a lead. I don't love Rock Ogerpon either because it's just so Astro weak. I think the problem is Smeargle having that Focus Sash, right? And Shadow Rider having a defensive Terra. I think it's probably leading Zamazenta, honestly, so then I can at least pressure with Wide Guard and then create some guessing games immediately. So I think, yeah, if I were to replay that again, it's probably something like Zamazenta. It could be Zom Chiyu lead, honestly. With Shadow Rider plus potentially Chien Pao in the back. Like, I brought Rock Ogerpon because I was like, oh, it's good into Incineroar and Fire Ogerpon, but they didn't bring either of those Pokemon in the end, and I just was not exerting a lot of pressure, right? Or sorry, they don't have Incineroar, they just have Fire Ogerpon. But yeah, I thought like Rock Ogerpon would be nice maybe if they had like back Smeargle, because then I can like follow me, redirect Spore, and decorate. But I think, yeah, the combo of Smeargle's Shadow Rider as a lead was just incredibly potent here. Okay, we have Miraidon Shadow Rider here with Frigoraph, Incineroar, Whimsicott, Urshifu. You'll often see, of course, Lunala on comps like this, as well as Ursaluna. Sometimes you'll see Chi-Yu. There is a lot of aggressive, fast-paced offense. I think Assault Vest Chien Pao is interesting. We have a lot of good Pokemon here. Like, I actually think every single Pokemon is bringable, which is both good and scary. Chi-Yu's really, really good before they set up Tailwind. It could also be Scarf Miraidon, theoretically. Like, I really like Assault Vest Chien Pao here. Rock Ogerpon's also interesting. One of the things you could also do is, like, lead Pao plus Amoonguss, because then you can, like, Ice Spinner and Spore. And normally people don't expect to get put to sleep, because they're like, oh, Miraidon's just going to have the Electric Terrain up. I also think Rock Ogerpon's decent from an offensive standpoint. I'm going to go Paozama, Shadow Rider, Rockpon. The reason why I like Rock Ogerpon here is because I think being able to take a hit and then respond back with an Ivy Cudgel is really nice. My hesitance with Chi-Yu here is if my opponent brings Whimsicott, right? Because if they bring Whimsicott and set up Tailwind, I don't have additional speed control for Chi-Yu. So Chi-Yu is just going to get outpaced, and that Choice Scarf basically becomes relatively useless, right? And I think it does make a lot of sense for my opponent to prioritize Tailwind in this game. And as you see, they lead Whimsicott plus Calyrex. Okay, I'm actually very happy with this lead because I pressure with a ton of damage immediately. And we've got the Assault Vest Chien Pao on the field, which is super valuable here. Honestly, turn one, I think I'm leaning towards just going for a Heavy Slam here, an Ice Spinner into Whimsicott. Like, Shadow Rider is in a really awkward spot here. I think it could consider nasty plotting. It could just go straight for an Astral Barrage. It could protect. It could switch. Could Psychic. Lots of different options, but it's definitely caught in a tricky spot. It's not going to be a Terra. It's just going to be, okay, Astro Tailwind turn one. I think I'm generally okay with this. Look how well we take that with the Assault Vest Chien Pao. Beautiful. So, Ice Spinner into the Whimsicott. No Focus Sash there. There was no Life Orb on Calyrex. That doesn't look like Specs damage either, so I think it's very likely the Focus Sash is on Calyrex. This Heavy Slam with Sword of Runes should do a ton of damage. Oh my goodness. It almost just KOs it. So that's an Ice Shard KO range now, which is really nice. You can obviously bring out Miraidon if you're my opponent. If you bring out Miraidon, I think I could go Ice Shard. Oh, they actually bring out Urshifu. Okay. Urshifu. We are Poison Terra here. I would love to get a knockout here. I think Calyrex protecting makes sense. The question is, like, you could close combat either of these. You could Surging into this, right? So I could always Terra Dragon this, which gets me a guaranteed body press into this. We've got Shadow Rider and Rock Ogerpon here, which is not bad. Kind of leaning towards Terrying this, though, honestly. Okay. Calyrex actually hard switches. That's fine. Miraidon eats up a super effective Ice Shard. The dream would be Urshifu targeting the Chien Pao slot with a close combat here. And I think we probably survive a Surging. Depends on its item. Of course, they may have also just targeted the Zama slot with the close combat. But Ice Shard here does just under half. That looks like a damage roll. Okay, they end up going for Surging here onto us. 96 down to 45. Looks like it's going to be enough. Okay. So I would have preferred to see a close combat go into that slot, but that's okay. Because the question is, yeah, who would I even really need to Terra anyway, right? We'll get a body press off here. The dream scenario would be to have Shadow Rider with Rock Ogre Palm paired next to it. They can Electro Drift. They can Surging. They get Draco. I think I like Rock Pawn here. Because with this, Miraidon has to move first. So I think I'm going to go Body Press into Urshifu here. Follow me. If I KO the Urshifu, then if you KO Ogerpon, I bring out Shadow Rider plus Zama, I double protect, stall out Tailwind, and then I can just Astral Barrage after that. Okay, it's going to be a Terra commit here. Terra Urshifu into Terra Water, okay. Go for Follow Me. Okay, Miraidon goes for Drift. Perfect. This could have been scary if it was Choice Scarf Ursh. Because then the Urshifu would knock out Ogerpon first, and then you would knock out Zamazenta afterwards. With Electro Drift. So surging into Ogre KO, and then Miraidon into Zama KO. I assume surging from Ursh actually KOs Ogerpon. I'm not 100% sure of that. But now we bring out Shadow Rider. I think the only thing I'm worried about is that they also have Encore, and I lose the 50-50 speed tie the next turn. You can obviously just Electro Drift plus Astral Barrage. You can also Electro Drift Psychic. They probably are sashed. I just don't know if they're running Encore as well. Because there's exactly one more turn of Tailwind left, so I could double protect pretty easily, obviously. Alternatively, because I know I'm sashed, I could theoretically just attack with both. Like, are they going to click Astral Barrage is the question, right? Because they might just click Psychic, for example. Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like the double protect, if they don't have Encore, just definitely wins me the game. And even if they have Encore, they need to win a speed tie. Huh. Shadow Ball. Okay. That's cool. Shadow Ball's fascinating, actually. But this is where Focus Sash Calyrex really thrives in these end games, so... Trying to debate if I should click Wide Guard here. If they get... I mean, if this actually is Shadow Ball Encore Astral Barrage, then so be it. But I think we can just go for Body Press here and Astro here. Okay. I end up losing a potential speed tie there, but that's fine because we have Focus Sash. I guess theoretically it could be... I'm like, is there any chance it's Scarf Shadow Rider? Because why else would you be running Shadow Ball? Or not, like, it's just so hard to fit Shadow Ball into a non-choice Calyrex or Assault Vest Calyrex set. I'm really curious about the item there. Yep, they drift into Zom, that's fine. Now we win the 1v1. And this is the beauty of Focus Sash Calyrex, right? Like, it's so good in cleaning up games often. But the lack of Terror on turn 1 made me think that they were Focus Sashed on the Calyrex. So maybe it's Sash Calyrex with Shadow, Astral, Psychic, +1. We'll deliver the finishing blow here. Perfect. Okay, cool. Yeah, I think the main debate is whether or not I should have saved my Terra for another Pokemon. Like, I Terra Chien Pao, but I figured if I got that turn correctly and they close combated, we would just win the game, probably. And even if I didn't get it right, it would still be okay. But what else could I have done there? Like, I was always going to eat up Surging on that slot, right? I don't think I want to switch out into either of the Pokemon that I have in the back. If I brought a Moongus in the matchup, it would have been worthwhile to switch, but otherwise, no. And then I think... wouldn't have Terra'd... I mean, Terra'd Shadow Rider could have been good in the endgame because then it would allow me to just get a double knockout. I think the Shadow Rider switch into Miraidon was smart. I was hoping to, like, knock them out sooner so they'd be forced to, like, lock into an attack really, really early on. But, yeah. Ultimately, kind of got what I was going for there, which was, like, deny Tailwind, get a lot of damage off, stall out Tailwind, and then win with Shadow Rider. Rank number 24 here, and we've got Shadow Rider, Brute Bonnet, Urshifu, Torn, Zom, Rillaboom. Okay, so they have Tailwind. Can see them bringing Urshifu. I think I want a Moongus here. Chien Pao is also interesting. Like, I could be Torn Ursh, Shadow Rider Zom. I think they probably don't bring Rillaboom here. But it could also be like Brute and Bonnet lead. Like Torn Bonnet. That's interesting. Yeah, I kind of feel like I need a Moongus here. So Moongus, Shadow Rider, Zom +1. Don't think it's Rock Pawn. Probably should be Chi-Yu. I just like thinking I want to lead a Moongus. Chi-Yu. Zom Shadow Rider. Basically, it's like Chi-Yu is really, really good into my opponent's entire team. The only thing it doesn't want to go up against is Urshifu. So if Urshifu is brought, then a Moongus covers for Chi-Yu. That's kind of the logic here. If it's Torn Urshifu lead, there's taunt pressure, but I can still Rage Powder on the first turn. Torn Bonnet, I think, is, I don't know, a lead I keep thinking about. But it's going to be Zamazenta plus Bonnet, okay. My guess is a little nice booster energy? No booster energy, huh? Okay. I would guess that Zom Terras or just protect. You could just protect and spore that. Like, protect, Terra this, spore this on turn 1. I'm leaning towards sporing this. I wish I had a switch in here, but I don't. I'm going to overheat and spore. If you don't Terra, I KO you. If you Terra, they're probably just double protecting here, but let's see. Yeah. Okay, it's fine. Yeah, basically the logic behind my play here is overheat one-shots you if you don't Terra, and if you Terra, I put you to sleep, and both are a decent trade for us. This next turn, I could go for the same play again. My opponent could obviously switch. Like, you could switch an Urshifu, for example, right now. Bonnet's honestly pretty annoying, so, like, putting it to sleep would actually be pretty nice. I'm thinking about doubling up onto the Zom slot now. Part of the logic here is that, like, a Moongus and Bonnet have this, like, awkward trade-off, but, like, I'm fine having a Moongus out on the field here. And I think if you're my opponent, you might actually want to conserve that Bonnet. But it's going to be a Terra here, okay? He Terra the Zamazenta, okay. Nice play. We'll still be able to put it to sleep, though, so it's fine. But I am impressed that they just stayed in with the Bonnet here. Heavy Slam comes out, okay. Spore into the Chi-Yu. That's fine. The main awkward thing right now is I do not think I want to switch this Chi-Yu out. So, I am happy actually just staying in and burning sleep turns right now. I'm going to just go for Sludge Bomb onto you and Overheat onto you. Because it's like, Sludge Bomb plus Beads of Ruin actually does really impactful damage, right? And, okay, so Zom actually just switches, that's fine. Into Tornadus, I'm okay with that. Like, Sludge Bomb actually, once again, does really impactful damage here. Bonnet just protects, that's fine. Could have been cool to fish for that switch and just straight up click Spore there, but... So now you could Bleak Wind Storm plus Spore into Amoonguss. Bleak Wind Storm plus Spore into Amoonguss. It's a little spooky, I think. Leaning towards protecting here with Amoonguss. I wonder if Overheat knocks out Tornadus. If so, I think it's actually super worthwhile to go for. I'll target the Bonnet. Okay, so we'll see if we get an early wake up here with Chi-Yu. Unfortunately not. Okay. Hurricane! And Spore into Bonnet as well, or Amoonguss. Yep. Hurricane is interesting. You can obviously miss that. My internal debate here is, do I want to consider Water Terra here? I don't think I need to Terra Zom in this game. I think Shadow Rider is like worthwhile potentially for late game Astral Sweep. I also just don't know if Overheat one-shots this. And they could also just miss Hurricane straight up. Okay, I'm just going Spore Overheat here. Bonnet switches though, so I could have gone with the Terra play into Zom. Yeah, I like their switches this game. I think they played that very smart. Chi-Yu does wake up. Overheat. This is fine. Even if you Hurricane me, I get Shadow Rider in for free, and I can just Ghost Terra Astral Barrage double KO. And they end up missing, so... Yeah, I mean, that's the downside of running Hurricane, right? But to be honest, I actually would have preferred them to KO me there so I can get the Shadow Rider in immediately. Now they get to burn some sleep turns here. Which means Zom could theoretically wake up. So, yeah, that was one of the scenarios where I was actually hoping Amoonguss would faint there. Because then the scenario is Zom hasn't taken any sleep turns yet. Shadow Rider in. You can go for Tailwind, but then Ghost Terra Astral Barrage means you can't Wide Guard, and then that's just a double knockout, right? Obviously, you can switch in Brute Bonnet for one of the slots, but yeah. Neither of these have taken sleep turns, so it's time for them probably to. I'm going to double switch this turn for some positioning. But yeah, I think Hurricane is just such a high variance move on Tornadus. I'm assuming it also has Rain Dance if it's running Hurricane. Otherwise, it's like, I just think it's way too inaccurate of a move to click consistently in VGC. But yeah, you can see, like, now the awkward thing is Zom theoretically could wake up next turn and then just click Wide Guard, which I don't love. So, there's turn 1 of Sleep Burnt. And turn 1 of Sleep Burnt. Both of these could wake out right now. So I think, like, if I'm my opponent, I'm considering Tailwind plus Wide Guard right now. It's just annoying because I actually don't think Psychic KO Zamazenta here. Like, I think I am just going to go for Body Press here. Into Tornadus, Ghost Terra, Astro Barrage. It's just the value that we get from the Astro Barrage is so strong that even if they wake up in Wide Guard, I think it's still worth going for, right? But this is why I was saying I would have preferred Amoonguss to have fainted so that I just got Shadow Rider out of position immediately. Okay, Zom stays asleep. I think that was a Wide Guard attempt. Torn does manage to wake up, so they will manage to set up the... That's not Tailwind, that's Rain Dance. Whoa, okay. So like I told you, right, because they have Hurricane, surely you would think they have Rain Dance. I am surprised to see them set that up. It almost makes me wonder if they have Scarf Urshifu in the back. But Astro just double KOs there. Nice. Okay. Otherwise, the argument for Rain Dance is to reduce the damage coming out from the Chi-Yu, which I also think makes a lot of sense. So that your Bonnet can survive. But we are up 4-2 now. With the +2 Shadow Rider. I think the main thing I'm worried about is... It is Ursh in the back. Wow, fascinating. Okay. Yeah, so my guess on that was right. Well, then I feel like Amoonguss is just the answer, right? If this is Choice Scarf, you could Surging here. Spore here. It makes sense for Ursh to be Scarf. Could be Ban, could be Mystic Water. If they were going to Rain Dance like that, I feel like Scarf makes the most sense to me. To which then Amoonguss alone should just win. Okay, I'm down to Body Press Urshifu, switch in Amoonguss here. Feels awkward to switch out the +2 boost, but... I just feel like if they were not going to click Tailwind there and click Rain Dance instead, it makes sense for this to be Scarf. Cool, Bonnet protects, nice. They're not Scarfed, okay, interesting. And they do Surging into Zom, but that's still fine, right? Like... Yeah, really interesting that they dropped Shadow Rider ultimately, too. I think I'm okay just going for Body Press into you now and Sludge Bomb into... I mean, I'm just down to double up into this because it just protected. Okay, yeah, they just end up forfeiting. I think Amoonguss was just able to get a lot of pressure off with Spore, and I think the Chi-Yu lead put on a lot of pressure into Zom plus Bonnet, which was really good. I thought they made some really great plays, like not Rage Powdering and then just going Dragon Terra, but being able to put Zom to sleep was still a really big deal. And obviously we got a little bit lucky with the Hurricane dodge on the Amoonguss slot. But like I said, I think a feint there actually isn't the end of the world for us because then it's a free switch into Shadow Rider. And then we can just go for Astro Barrage. I do think, though, if Amoonguss had feinted there, would have put my opponent in better position to try to sweep me with late game Urshifu under Tailwind. The main thing for my opponent is you can only click one of Tailwind or Rain Dance, and I think like both are actually kind of important there to try to like overwhelm me in the end game. But I actually, yeah, can also see the argument with the Urshifu. I think like Chi-Yu actually scares away Shadow Rider so much that Urshifu makes a ton of sense to me. But it just wasn't able to hit the field early enough, and with us like not losing Amoonguss, it meant that we just had a counter to the Urshifu in the late game as well. And so because my opponent did bring Urshifu in the back, I think the Hurricane miss on the Amoonguss actually does probably end up being quite impactful. And I think that one turn specifically, I actually could have considered Water Terra. I was just like, one, it would feel really bad if I Water Terra, and then I just get put to sleep immediately. And I figured like Ghost Terra Shadow Rider is also just so powerful. But yeah. Kyogre, Ice Rider, Urshifu, Rillaboom, Amoonguss, Indeedee. Okay. I think I probably need my own Amoonguss here. Water Terra Amoonguss is really good against the restricteds and can put things to sleep under Trick Room. Chi would actually be incredible here against 4 of their 6 members, but it's not good into Kyogre or Urshifu. It's probably a pretty easy drop. Wow, actually, like, Rock Ogerpon's offense is insane good here, right? Like, this feels, like, necessary. But then I also want Chien Pao. I think we probably end up dropping Chien Pao, but I don't know. It's kind of cool. I'm thinking like Zamazenta, Rock Pawn, Amoonguss, Shadow Rider. So I think Amoonguss is really good into my opponent's team. I don't want to reveal it too early on. I think with the idea that I want to maybe even bait them into setting up Trick Room, then getting Amoonguss out. One of the key questions to ask in this matchup, I think, is there Grass Terra and who is it on? Because I'm guessing that like it could be on Ice Rider or Kyogre, for example. So let's see. Chi-Yu. Yeah, I think makes absolutely no sense. Unless it's just so hard for Chi-Yu because you're running 3 fire type attacks and like Kyogre just switches in and you're miserable. So I think I would, even though it's so tempting because there's Rillaboom and NED and Ice Rider, like you're just never not going to have Kyogre out on the field unless your opponent like gifts it to you, right? NED plus Ice Rider, okay. Follow Me Trick Room feels kind of run-of-the-mill here, but I'd actually be okay with that because then I can angle to get Amoonguss in, right? Part of the idea here is I thought it might be Safety Goggles NED as well, so if it's Goggles, like Amoonguss is so bad here, but if we knock this out, then don't have to worry about the Goggles as much. So I'm leaning towards just turn 1 Body Press plus IB Cudgel into NED. I'm also doubling into NED here because it's less likely to carry Protect, whereas like you could theoretically Protect Ice Rider Trick Room turn 1, but we bait out Terra immediately, okay? If this is defensive Terra NED, that'd be very interesting, but it's on Ice Rider, cool. It is Grass, yeah. It's kind of annoying for Amoonguss. No Follow Me. Where's IB Cudgel? Okay, so we eliminate NED. Is it Trick Room? Just Glacial, huh. Okay, I don't mind that too much. I think that's totally a worthwhile trade for us. This is where Sludge Bomb Amoonguss is quite nice, because if they end up setting up Trick Room, oh, it's their own Amoonguss. Huh. I'm worried this is Pollen Puff. Like, do they just Rage Powder here? This Rock Terra Cudgel Heavy Slam ever KO this? Because I want to conserve Terra ideally for this, I think. They could Spore. Okay. Leaning towards this. Okay, no Rage Powder. So I think I'm okay with this outcome. Spore Trick Room. But then, yeah, I don't feint with Ogre Pawn, huh? So then you can still just side Pollen Puff. I'm assuming they have Pollen Puff. That makes it, yeah, a lot more annoying. The lack of Amoonguss counterplay makes this tricky, but like it's hard, right? Because like Chien Pao and Chi-Yu are so much harder to bring in this matchup. Could have gone Follow Me last turn to redirect the Spore. That would have been cool. My guess is that it's side Pollen Puff into Glacial Lance. I don't really want to give them a free attack boost immediately, but it just stings that I like negated some of the damage I did. Oh. And they didn't bring Kyogre. It's Urshifu as the last one. You have my attention. Wait, they had Pollen Puff too. I'm genuinely shocked they did not heal themselves there. I feel like that was like a prime opportunity for that. I'll take it. I will gladly take it. Okay. I have the defense boost, but low-key, I feel like I just switch in my own Amoonguss right now. And I would assume they Pollen Puff to KO my Ogerpon. I do think it's interesting. A lot of people end up dropping their restricted, or at least one of their restricteds. Oh, the Rage Powder. Okay. Surging. Would have been nice to get the... I mean, that play made a lot of sense from their end, right? But I think what I'm playing towards now is just a late game Shadow Rider end game. Life Orb Urge, okay. Okay. 2 turns of Trick Room, 1 turn of Psychic Terrain. I could obviously Spore, but, like, that doesn't really accomplish too much. Like, I think if I were my opponent, I would just switch Urshifu out into the Ice Rider. So I'd like to Sludge Bomb into it. Body Press. Yep. If my Amoonguss moves first here, I think we just win the game on the spot. But I'm assuming they're min speed and we're not. So they can side Pollen Puff now. Which is, I'm kind of surprised they didn't go for that earlier, quite frankly. Yeah. It's still okay. I mean, Sludge Bomb does meaningful damage, but then it's like, how do we want to play the remainder of this game out? It does get a poison, which is quite nice. Okay, I'll take it. Oh, and I do manage to just wake up. Is that just KO with poison? Nice. Okay. Well, that just wins us the game on the spot. Yeah, it definitely makes things easier for us. Yeah, now it's like you have Ursh Amoonguss. My Amoonguss counters your Ursh. I can't express how important Amoonguss is when your opponent has Urshifu, because otherwise Urshifu is actually very annoying when supported properly into Zamazenta and Shadow Rider and stuff, right? Last turn of Trick Room, I can just go for Spore into you. They might protect. But the reality is, like, we just need Amoonguss to beat the Urshifu, then we always win. Yeah, I think it's fine going for Spore here and then protecting with Zama. Okay, they just end up forfeiting. The idea behind Protect is, like, yes, you can't actually attack into Urshifu, with Urshifu into me, because I'm like, just going to put you to sleep anyway, right? And I know you're not, like, safety goggles, and you already committed Grass Terra and Ice Rider earlier. So, yeah, I think my opponent was in a pretty prime spot to honestly just side Pollen Puff and spam Glacial Lance for a little bit. And, like, that awkward dance I was a little bit nervous about. But then when they switched out, I thought it actually gave me a big window of opportunity. And we obviously got lucky, like, poison into, you know, 1 turn awake as well. But I felt like we didn't even bring Shadow Rider as, like, the final boss, right? And Shadow Rider was, like, very ready to come out and, I think, sweep that end game with just Astral Barrage across the board, especially with Ghost Terra. So that's what I was setting myself up for. We didn't end up getting there because we just got lucky with the poison plus the early wake up. But, yeah, I do think this game was scary because, 1, they had Grass Terra, which is like the 1 Terra, obviously, like counters Amoonguss, and 2, they had their own Amoonguss with Pollen Puff. And, you know, it's funny, before this match, I was like, oh, like, you should never really bring Chi-Yu into the game. They didn't bring Kyogre, right? So if I were playing a best of 3, I would actually consider bringing Chi-Yu because my opponent showed that they were actually willing to drop Kyogre. I'm honestly still kind of shocked they dropped it. Like, I could see what they were going for because Urshifu obviously is quite strong with its ability to crit. That being said, I think Kyogre is still just quite strong. But maybe they're like, hey, look, I'm worried about Wide Guard. I'm worried about Amoonguss, and so I'm going to drop it. So I think it actually does make a lot of sense. And I think in best of 1, you can actually get away with that even more because it's like, yeah, am I ever going to really bring Chi-Yu in a best of 1 into Kyogre? Probably not. But if we were playing a best of 3, like, this is where my, like, gears would be turning a little bit, and suddenly I'd be like, maybe I actually could bring Chi-Yu if you're willing to drop Kyogre. Ice Rider, Miraidon, Grim, Roaring Moon, Sneasler, Fire, Ogerpon. Huh, okay. It's kind of scary. I really don't like fighting Roaring Moon. Do I need to be that scared of it, though? Miraidon Sneasler is also something I think we need to respect. I'm nervous about Grimmsnarl as well. Ideally, we only let it get one screen up, right? Scarf Miraidon is what spooks me a little bit. Like, normally I would consider Pao-Amoonguss into Miraidon stuff, but I don't know if I love it here. Pao still seems okay. I don't think I like Fire Pawn here because of Sneasler potentially, so I'm looking like Chien Pao, Rock Ogre Pawn, Zamazenta Shadow Rider. Basically, I think Amoonguss is much harder to bring here because they have Roaring Moon and Fire Ogre Pawn. So if I'm bringing Amoonguss, I also probably want to Terra it to get around Glacial Land super effective hits, right? So yeah. Let's see what they go with. I just think that Amoonguss is harder to execute here relative to other Miraidon teams. And yeah, it's Miraidon Roaring Moon lead. Okay. Not Scarf Miraidon. And we're faster with Pao. But obviously you could just Tailwind, Volt Switch turn 1. I do have Ice Shard. I don't know if that's really worth it right now. Probably not. But I do think knocking this out is a big deal because then it clears the way for Shadow Rider a little bit more. They could theoretically just like Fairy Terra, Dazzling Gleam, Tailwind turn 1, which is what I'm worried about. So I'm like, do I Poison Terra here just to get around that? I went Poison Terra, Ice Spin, or Cudgel, but like it very easily could just be a Volt Switch into Chien Pao. But I think I could like literally lose the game if they just went Tailwind, Fairy Terra, Dazzle. Okay, it's a Terra. Well, if it's Fairy Terra, I will be very happy. I'm not very happy. I'm very sad. Oh, man. I could have just doubled up onto Miraidon. Nice bait. Nicely done. Yeah, I think it was like Roaring Moon is so scary for Shadow Rider alone that I was like, I need to get this out of the way. But am I eating up a Parabolic Charge here or a Discharge? Yeah, actually just ends up being Volt Switch. Interesting. Okay. But into Chien Pao. Assault Vest Chien Pao survives that, though. Oh. It is Life Orb on Miraidon. Okay. I'll take it. Like, honestly, things could have been worse for us. They're still not great, but I feel like I could have just lost there if they went Electro Drift. Chien Pao surviving is a testament to Assault Vest Chien Pao, though. How clutch. But yeah, did not run into the classic Fairy Terra Specs Gleam set that I was hoping for. Because imagine they go like Tailwind, Fairy Terra, Gleam. We knock out Roaring Moon with Spinner. Cudgel goes and then does damage into Miraidon. Then we're like in pretty good shape, right? But Sneasler comes out now too. They just have so much speed to work with, right? Now you have Fake Out available. I'm going to Ice Shard and switch into Shadow Rider. And basically the hope is then I get Ogre Pawn back in. I can go for Follow Me into Astral Barrage. But I think the fact that both Roaring Moon and Sneasler outpacing me is really tough right now. It's also why I didn't want to bring Shiyu into this matchup. So like maybe Amoonguss did need to come in here. Like Pao-Amoonguss could have worked. But I'm hoping they like Fake Out into Ogre Pawn here. Yeah, they target Chien Pao. Okay. It's definitely not gone how I would have hoped. Yeah, they Tailwind now. Okay, at least it was a Tailwind, but I could have switched it the other way around. I thought they might like Fake Out Rock Ogre Pawn and honestly just like attack the Chien Pao. I guess I can at least bring out Zom now. So I can protect Shadow Rider, but I have Focus Sash, and so like low-key I think I'm just going to body press here and Psychic and hope to get a double knockout. Okay, they split their damage. That's huge. I will get the double knockout that I was looking for. Yep. Okay. I mean, Ogerpon's my last one, right? So this should just be 2 one-hit KOs. Yeah, it was big that they didn't just double up on the Shadow Rider there, but I figured I needed to take kind of a risk because I started the game from behind. It was a crit, but I don't think that matters. I'm actually not 100% sure, though. I mean, is it just Miraidon plus Ice Rider? Then the question I... Oh, it's Ogerpon. My main question is, do you have a spread move on this? Because if the answer is no... The problem is I wasted my Terra on this in the beginning of the game. But basically, right now, I think I go Protect. Yeah, like I just body press here. Sacrifice Zamazenta. Body press into you. Protect with Shadow Rider. Then I bring out Ogerpon and then just follow me Astro. With you being Life Orb, I'm thinking this Miraidon might not have a spread move. They Electro Drift into me, but that's fine. Like, you might be asking, like, why didn't you double protect here? Well, if I double protect, I just, like, then still have to deal with another turn of Tailwind. But now what I get to do is position in my Rock Ogerpon with Follow Me against Miraidon plus Fire Ogerpon. So the hope here is you don't have a spread move, and I just go Follow Me Astro Barrage on the last turn of Tailwind, and then Astro Barrage to win the game. But yeah, it feels bad because I think if I had saved Ghost Terror, I could have just like sent it here. Last turn of Terrain, last turn of Tailwind. The thing is, if you're Life Orb, like you would expect Electro Drift, Volt Switch, Draco Meteor, Protect. Like I wouldn't expect a spread move here. So if they have it, they have it. But I'm just gonna go Follow Me into Astro Barrage. But yeah, I mean, we were down obviously pretty significantly, so the fact I'm in this position, like, I will take. But Life Orb Miraidon does have the flexibility of obviously running a lot of different moves. If you don't have spread moves, though, basically with 1 HP, Shadow Rider gets to pull it off because Astro brings both of these both really low. Tailwind ends, then I outspeed both of you, and another Astro Barrage double KOs. A Spiky Shield, okay. It still comes down to whether or not you have a spread move, I think. Okay, it's Drift. I think we're good. Nice. Oh, no. We're technically not in the clear yet, right? Because then they could protect Miraidon next turn. But it's still fine, right? Like, you just eat up too many Astro Barrages. Yeah, that doesn't KO Miraidon, but that's fine. Tailwind Peter's out. The expectation is this protects right now and then this attacks, but I think it's fine because I think Astral should do over 50%. I also could just attack with this, right? Like, we are max speed. But then I could potentially lose to a speed tie between these two. Whereas, like, if I just go Follow Me here in Astral Barrage, how do you beat that? I don't think you do. Yeah, they just forfeit. Cool. So this is the downside of running Life Orb Miraidon, right? Like, the upside of running Life Orb Miraidon is you get to run Protect. The downside of running Protect is you don't get to run Dazzling Gleam. And so knowing that they were Life Orb on turn 1 meant that I could play that way. But basically, I was really behind in this game, and so I was like, okay, I see a small window of opportunity, which is just going all in on like the Shadow Rider and just going for double knockout immediately. They split their damage that turn. That was huge. If the Sneasler just targeted Shadow Rider with any other attack, Shadow Rider faints there, we lose the game. But it makes sense for my opponent to want to double up into that slot because, of course, the obvious play for me there was to protect Shadow Rider, body press, get a KO. So my opponent was probably thinking, hey, I can just get a double knockout. But with the knowledge that I had, I was like, okay, if I get a special attack boost onto the Shadow Rider and then I have Rock Ogre Pawn switch in, I should be actually fairly well positioned, and that's what ended up happening here. Kyogre, Zamazenta, Rillaboom, Whimsicott, Frigoraph, Thundurus, Therian. What are you doing there? Interesting. Okay. Huh. Kyogre makes it so hard to bring Chi-Yu. Rock Ogre Pawn feels good because we have Woodhammer. Kind of want a Mungus. I want Chien Pao and Mungus, but then to not bring Rock Ogre Pawn into a Kyogre matchup feels like a mistake. I guess I don't need Chien Pao here, right? Frick is also really interesting on a team without Miraidon. Like, I'm curious what item it has. Yeah, maybe it's something like Zama, Rock Ogre Pawn lead, Amoonguss Shadow Rider. I think the main thing to think about here is potential Grass Terras from Kyogre and Zom on their side. I'm a little bit worried about dealing with Grass Terra, Zom, and Rain. If that's what they have, my best answer actually will be Sludge Bomb Amoonguss. Funnily enough. Let's see what they go with. I think... Whims, Kyogre? Okay. It's not a bad lead for us at all. Especially with Dragon Terra. Like, I feel like I can just go Dragon Terra. You're not Scarf either. Dragon Terra, Heavy Slam, Woodhammer. The thing is, I think like this Grass Terraing immediately makes some sense to me. It's gotta be right. This could switch into Zamazenta as well. I think generally safe to Dragon Terra this, right? They don't have much to take advantage of that. But maybe instead of targeting Whimsicott, I just go like Body Press here and Ivy Cudgel. The main fear with this is that they just protect Kyogre Tailwind turn 1, which I think is definitely a possibility. Part of the thinking there was I did not want to knock out Whimsicott and then just give them a free switch in immediately afterwards, whereas here if you protect, okay, then you at least burn a turn of Tailwind and we can play from there. Nice. We see a Terra. That's a good sign. That means it's probably Kyogre Terra, and hopefully it means this double up will KO. Grass Terra is what I expect here. Electric, I think that's fine. People have been using Electric Terra more on Ogre recently, I feel like. Let's see if it's Water Spout or Hydro Pump. Nope, it's Thunder. That works for me. As long as we don't get Parad. Life Orb, okay. Nice, no paralysis. Beautiful. Cudgel does a ton. And Body Press for the KO. Sweet. Yeah, I think Terra Electric is cool because it gives you the resistance to Electro Drift and then also makes your Thunder stronger, but Dragon Terra here is just so good. And even if we didn't Terra, you saw we would have been able to survive that pretty comfortably. So now with no Terra available and with Kyogre out of the way and with Zom being their other restricted, like I don't really see how they deal with the Moongus, quite frankly. The answer actually is Thundurus. I'm eager to see what it has to run. You could Moonblast here. Got a Moongus Shadow Rider in the back. Defense boost isn't really that important at this point, quite frankly, right? Yeah, I think I'm gonna actually switch into Moongus here. I could just attack with both though, right? Like, what if I just Heavy Slam here and Cudgel? I feel like that's fine. Wild Bolt Storm, okay. Doesn't really do that much. Moonblast, that's fine. Yeah. It's just double KO, no? Okay. Thundurus actually survives because it's Focus Sash Thundurus. It's not a common Pokemon in the format, so I wasn't really sure what to expect. I think historically when I've seen Thundurus, it's been Assault Vest Specs, you know, Life Orb. But I'm fine with Sash. I feel like the game was just kind of over on turn 1, quite frankly. And they actually dropped Zom for Rillaboom as their last 2. Huh. I didn't see how they beat Amoonguss, though, honestly. If they weren't Grass Terra Kyogre, like, I think Amoonguss kind of clears just by itself. But just double check the game state. 2 turns of Tailwind left. Yeah, I think fine to just double protect here. Maybe slightly more optimal to actually switch in Amoonguss and protect. But I think it's fine. I think all we have to do is just switch Rock Pond out into Amoonguss next turn. Trick Room ends, or sorry, Tailwind ends, Shadow Rider comes out, and then kind of just takes over from there. Yeah, it's interesting for the decision to drop Zamazenta, though. I feel like... What are you, I guess, scared of to drop Zom? Is my question. Drum Beating. Okay, that's cool from a speed control POV. Means I actually don't want to switch in Shadow Rider for sure. We heal back. Also, yeah, like, I feel like Zom just would have provided more value over this. But I also think Amoonguss still would have kind of just crushed it. Maybe to just body press Rilla now. Switch in Amoonguss. And part of the nice thing about Amoonguss here is knowing I have Sludge Bomb. Like, maybe they brought Rillaboom because they're like, hey, Rilla is a Spore immunity, which I think makes sense. Usually Thundurus is just not very powerful here. Wild Bolt Storm does not get the knockout onto us. And Drum Beating now into the Amoonguss slot for fairly minimal damage. Drops our speed, but honestly not super relevant. And Body Press does so much in return. So everyone heals back, but now there is no more Tailwind on their end. Cool. So happy to just Body Press into Rillaboom, Sludge Bomb into Thundurus. I think the thing with Kyogre is that, like, you cannot take negative trades with it a lot of the times when you use this Pokemon. And, like, turn 1, my opponent gave up their Terra to essentially do 30% to us, right? And so, like, Kyogre also really wants to click Water-type attacks, and that's why, like, you want to support it with Pokemon that can, like, give Wide Guard users trouble. Sometimes, you know, people run Hydro Pump. Of course, with us being Dragon Terra here, Zom just never really had to worry, but, yeah. Body Press and Sludge Bomb once more. But yeah, I think I don't think Zom actually would have helped them a ton. I think their team is actually just structurally really weak to Amoonguss. Like, especially with no Grass Tower and Kyogre. Amoonguss alone, like, puts in so much work, right? And Thundurus, cool Pokemon, just wasn't really able to do that much against us either. So, yeah, felt like it couldn't really prove its worth in that one. And it was just clicking Wild Bolt Storm to do, like, you know, 20% max. Anyway, that's going to be it for this one, so thank you so much as always for joining me. It was really fun to get to feature what I think is one of the best Shadow Rider Zamazenta teams out there right now. This duo, I think going into the World Championships, will have a huge target on its back, but it continues to perform really, really well. And so, yeah, I think this team obviously has some cool new adjustments to it, especially this Assault Vest Chien Pao, which I think is really unique, but overall, a lot of cool elements to it. So thanks so much as always for watching. Leave a like if you enjoy, and I'll see you all soon. All right, peace.